morning. Good morning. My name is Emily Ruth, and I am on the Board of Trustees, and I want to welcome you to the High Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Once again, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Let's see. Because of the health and safety of our community, it's our highest priority. We are requiring you to wear masks at all times in the building, except when you're speaking from the podium. So we have great music as usual from Chris Urmston today. He is our music director. However, we will not be having congregational singing due to our mask wearing, so some of the songs in your program may be changed. I would like for you to welcome Chris with our opening song called I Release and Let Go by Ricky Byers Beckwith.
There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all by myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say: I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. My heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. My heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
That was great, Chris. Thank you so much. We are an all-inclusive center of love, where we recognize and celebrate each person as a divine and unique expression of one spirit. Together, we are co-creating a world that works for everyone. We teach and embody the science of mind principles to support our core values of love, healing, spiritual growth, oneness, abundance, service, and diversity. Welcome home. Is there anyone here joining us for the first time today? Okay. I'm going to read some announcements, and the first thing I'm going to read is our vision for a new minister. If any of you were able to pick up this blue, actually yours is blue, mine's white, blue sheet on the way in. Don't worry if you don't have one. There's one out on the concierge table. But I'm going to be reading that to you, and if you have any interest in reading along with me, that would be lovely. I'd appreciate that. So our vision for a new minister. The purpose is unity. Our vision is to be a dynamic teaching center where we learn to experience the Spirit within us and to express our fullest potential in life. Our new minister is comfortable with shared leadership, accessible to our community, has humor, tact, and is kind. Our new minister is intelligent, a fine teacher of science of mind, an inspired speaker, and feeds us spiritually. Our new minister lives the science of mind with integrity, has a consciousness of abundance, is authentic and unbiased. Our new minister is enthusiastic, all while being emotionally mature, committed and connected to our community, and wise in all their affairs. some more announcements. You are invited to join us every Sunday before the service at 9:30 for a beautiful 15-minute meditation led by our practitioner of the day, which today was Frank St. Clair. Chris will be teaching Tai Chi live here at the center on Tuesdays from, and this is Chris, in case you didn't know, from 11:30 to 12:30. This is on a love offering basis. Quack, quack, quack. I think I'm going to have Joanne come on up. I mean, not Joan, sorry. Have Joan come up. She's going to talk about this little duck race that's going on. We've been doing this for years, and she's in charge of it, so I'm going to let her speak. Looks like she has a little duck with her, too. Thank you, Joan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The duck race is going to take place this year. Last year it did not because of COVID, but this year it's only going to be one day, and that is September 18th. So the duck race will go about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it will be at Hesperia Lakes. The tickets are $10 a piece. $5 comes to our center, and $5 goes to Victor Valley Community Hospice, but they don't do just hospice. Victor Valley Community Services is actually what it's called, and they help elderly people and people that need services. Like if you needed your yard cleaned or something, they would send people that have to do service to your place. So anyway, our little duck, and I wanted to let you know that we have had winners. So if your duck comes in first place, you get $1,000. One year, we had Frank St. Clair win, and one year I won. And then if your duck gets stuck in the middle someplace in the marsh, you get probably $25, I think it is. And then if your duck comes in last, you get something for that too. So anyway, I'm selling these tickets, $10 a piece, out in the garden room after service. And I'll only be selling until September 5th, and then I have to turn in the money. So get your tickets early to be a winner. And thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
And now I'd like to call on Frank St. Clair to talk about our building and grounds work party that we all shared yesterday.
We had a lot of fun yesterday. We got some tremendously good work done around here. I'd like to thank our team who showed up. Fred of the long arm was able to reach the dead branches in the trees, and we took those down. Emily and Clay and Brandy were on the weeding and...
Take your mask off so we can hear you.
I can take it off now?
You're allowed. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Start over. Okay, we'll start over. Fred of the long arm helped take down the dead branches in our trees out here in the southwest corner of the parking lot so they wouldn't come down in a windstorm. That was fantastic. Emily, Clay, and Brandy were of the brush clearing and weeding crew. And you'll notice how neat the fence looks here on the east side. Most of the stuff is gone and in a pile now to be burned. We have a couple of budding artists in our community. One is Richard Fox, and the other is Vincent Van Gogh. Yes, you'll notice there's been paint splashed around on the premises here. Let's see, Judy and Doris took care of the trimming of the roses and fertilizing. And I sat around and did nothing but take pictures. It was great. But I sure want to thank this group for showing up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank, for heading the work party. We also had delicious refreshments in our fellowship hall, and we all shared a word or two. So that was nice. Our bookstore and office hours are Monday and Tuesday from 9 to 1, Wednesday from 9 to 12, and Thursday 10 to 3. We have 2021 spiritual living journals that look like this. If you haven't seen them already, They are on clearance in the bookstore for half price. Randy has one, she's holding hers up, so it's more than halfway through, so they're half price. And it's a great method for you to write down notes and spiritual thoughts and anything you want during or after service. Our practitioner for the day is Frank St. Clair. And I'm going to let him come on up right now.
Good morning. I'm Frank St. Clair, practitioner for the day.
Mask. Take the mask off. Thank you.
I'll get it. It's not in the script to take it off. Okay. You would now please join me to read the affirmation by Dr. Ernest Holmes entitled Promises. Find it on the front of your program today. If you will join me, please. I keep the promise that I have made myself to affirm in this moment that I am abundant, healthy, strong, and happy. I keep the intention to daily speak this truth to my inner soul, telling it that it is wonderful and marvelous, that it is one with the great cause of life, truth, power, and action. I whisper these things into my soul until it breaks forth into songs of joy with the realization of its limitless possibilities. I assure my soul. I'd like you now to turn within into your spot of divine nature. As Chris shares, I am remembering who I am. Thank you, Chris. That's an inside job if no one told you that. So you need to remember who you are. I'd like to now invite you to open your program, and on the inside left-hand side, you will find our opening community affirmation. If you will join me, please. I believe in one power, one living spirit, one indestructible, absolute, self-existent cause. I believe that spirit expresses through me and is the unity of all life. I believe that all thought is created, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. We will now have a 2-minute meditation on the prayer of Ho'oponopono. Yeah, I'll get that right. The words are, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. This is a very powerful forgiveness practice, which you can use in your everyday life. Even if you don't feel that you have anyone in your past or present that you need to forgive, you can use this prayer to help yourself to clear away any judgments or negative ideas about yourself and others. Chris?
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. We are responsible for what we see. Healing ourselves will heal the world. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That sure makes me feel good. It takes a load off of my heart. It is now time for our ceremony of the flames of faith, and I will be assisted today by Reverend to light the fire. I heard you giggling. We perform this ceremony on Sunday to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. The unity candle represents the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for our forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, embracing the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light the 10th candle for inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome here. And as we light the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of loved ones, knowing that they have experience of Spirit's eternal love. If you will now join me in prayer. As we turn our attention inward, we recognize that we are a spark from the divine fire. We are a spiritual being having an earthly experience. We are a point of light, allowing Spirit to shine through and create peace, joy, and love in this world. We are like the lighthouse and a beacon. We project the light through ourselves. We do not chase the shadows of ignorance and fear and intolerance. We do not chase them. We merely shine into their dark recesses. This takes nothing from us but our attention, and we are greatly the Spirit consciously move through us each day. So we are lights to ourselves. We are lights to our family. We are lights to our community, our state, our country. And we know now the world needs a lot of light. So we come forth each day being blessed with our mission of being lights in the world, lights of understanding, lights of peace, lights of joy, lights of forgiveness. And for this understanding in our teaching, which brings us to our mind, we are very grateful. And so it is. So it is. Chris, you have some special music, right?
We do. We have a special singer too.
All right.
Richard Fox.
This song is called "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," and I believe it is a beautiful morning anytime we can gather and realize that we're part of God. Thank you. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and I think that it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. All the cattle are standing like statues. All the cattle are standing like statues. They don't turn their heads as they see me ride by. But a little brown maverick is winking her eye. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. All the sounds of the earth are like music. All the sounds of the earth are like music. The breeze is so busy, it don't miss a tree. And an old weeping willow is laughing at me. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, what a beautiful, oh, what a beautiful, oh, what a beautiful day.
Thank you, Richard. That's beautiful.
Richard, that was just lovely. Thank you so much. And Chris, beautiful accompaniment. Thank you. It's wonderful. We love music here at HDCSL, don't we? It's the best. Okay, let me see where I am. Okay, we have a guest speaker today. Her name is Marion Cordova Green, and she has been here with us before. She's come many times to our center. She's here with her husband today, and you're in for a treat. She is a licensed religious science practitioner for 18 years. That's how long she's been a licensed practitioner. She's completed ministerial school with a master's in consciousness, and currently she sits on the board of directors for both profit and nonprofit agencies. Marion also has a master's degree in business administration. She retired as president of a multi-million-dollar business in 2015, for which she also held a general contractor's license. In addition to on-the-job training sessions, some of the classes and workshops she has taught have been My Boomerang Won't Come Back, Living a Life of Prosperity, Wealthy Thinking, Are You a Secret? What Brand Are You? Character's Destiny, a 7-part series, Science of Mind in Some, Treatment Retreat, Noble Purpose, and Discovering Who I Am. Marion has been here with us several times before, as we know, and she is going to share with us her thoughts for today, and we are simply delighted to have her back. Let's welcome Reverend Marion Cordova Green.
Thank you. And thank you for that song, Richard. It reminded me when I was a child, my older sister, who I shared a bedroom with, was in love with Doris Day. So we got to hear that song just about every morning. So what a way to wake up, right? So I have something to share with you. So now I am Superman, right? And now I am Queen. And I can turn this tap. Really isn't a tap.
It's a magic carpet.
Right? A magic carpet.
And it can also be a tent.
How many of you have made tents when you were a kid with all the towels on a rainy day? Yes. So that's a child's imagination. And what about inspiration? Because we're talking about inspiration today too. Well, inspiration goes more like this. So, Chris, thank you for being here every Sunday and blessing us with your beautiful music, which opens our hearts. Thank you. So imagination is a mental thing, whereas inspiration comes from something higher. It comes from our hearts. Right? And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But let's first talk about imagination. So as I was saying, imagination is that mental thing. It's how far you can stretch. And we talked about what kids do with their imagination, but we adults have imagination also, right? We do things. So an example of adult imagination and how it works best is at my center many years back, we were sitting around, a couple of us who were involved all the time. We were sitting around one Friday night having a glass of wine, and we said, well, we need a donation, a fundraiser. We need to make some money. And we looked at each other, and here it is, a Friday night, we're having a glass of wine. We didn't want to do any work, but we needed some money. So what can we do to get some money? We aren't going to do a rummage sale. I don't know if you've done a rummage sale. That's a lot of work. You know, about 10 cents on the dollar, if you're lucky, right? I mean, on the hour. That's about what it takes to get those. And then a bake sale, you just, not much is coming in. So what can we do? Well, we were drinking wine, right? So we said, okay, it's got to involve some wine because we're having fun. So we decided to do a wine tasting garden party in my backyard. There were 5 of us to start with. We were having so much fun. There were 12 of us that joined that planning committee because every meeting we had a glass of wine. Now, we didn't need to get drunk or anything to be imaginative, but wine, in our case, symbolized fun, and that was the first priority, to have fun. And having fun, your imagination goes. We did that example with the towel. When kids do those things, they're having fun, right? So we wanted to have fun, and so every planning meeting, we would sit around the big dining table, and we'd have our glass of wine there, and people would start throwing out ideas. Now, if you've ever sat in a meeting of people just throwing out ideas, sometimes ideas come that you kind of go, yeah, right. Really? But I kept my mouth shut, and I just wrote down every single idea that came up. And after we had exhausted ourselves on ideas for the evening, we would talk about how we can make each of those ideas happen, actually happen, no matter how silly it was. And those that we couldn't figure out that night, we didn't cross off. We held over to the next planning meeting. And by the time we got to the end, every single idea, no matter how silly it sounded or how hard it would seem to do, was actualized. So the 12 of us spent 6 months. That means we have to have, at least 6 to 10 meetings with a glass of wine. We had to plan this thing. But we have one day event. Everybody's idea was included. Everybody had fun, and we netted $8,000. So that goes to show you what you can do when you're having fun and you let your imagination run wild without any checks. So that's an example of imagination. Kids find imagination easy. We adults have a little harder time with our imagination. And that's because through our lives we get the opposite message so often. Kids are dreaming of something and either their parents or their friends go, get real. Sorry, get real. That's not going to happen. Find when you're getting ready to go off to college or something, find something practical to do. Now, if you're in my age category, us women got off a little easy because they figured we'd go to college and get a Mrs. degree. But the guys were really held tight to finding something practical that could make money. So, of course, that Mrs. degree didn't really work, but not for a long time. But that's what we were held to. And that kind of curbed the imagination because we kind of told all of us where our lives needed to go. And if you're like me, coming to religious science was a real opening because we finally figured out that we get to decide where life's going to go, right? We've learned that finally. So that's our imagination kind of stretching and going. So why now, as adults, do we need to expand our imagination? Why would we need to do that? Well, first of all, as we described in our example, it's a lot of fun. Second of all, it helps us solve problems. Einstein said you can't solve a problem with the same mindset that created it, right? Boy, do we have a lot of problems. Another thing Einstein said, let me read you his quote here. Let's see, his quote. He said, the limit of our ability to demonstrate depends upon our ability. Wait a second, I'm jumping ahead. That's Ernest Holmes. So Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we know and can understand, while imagination embraces the entire world. He also said, logic will get you from A to B, but imagination can take you everywhere. So it can solve problems and it can expand your thinking. Now, Ernest Holmes says that your imagination creates your future. He says, the limit of our ability to demonstrate depends upon our ability to provide a mental equivalent of our desires, for the law of correspondence works from the belief to the thing. So let's digest that a little bit. You know, let's see, he says, depends on our ability to provide a mental equivalent. Now, if you've taken classes, you've heard that term, but all mental equivalent is a fancy term for your imagination. What you can picture, you can create. And if you can't picture it, you can't create it. So our mental equivalent is the boundaries of our imagination. That's all it is. And the law of correspondence just says there's something in a spiritual and mental prototype that is corresponding to something that would be actually manifest, that we see in the world. So take out all those fancy words, what we can imagine, we can create. And our mental equivalent sets that boundary. So that's a problem. We'll talk in a second about how we can expand that. Another thing that it does, so it creates our future, it expands our it creates the fun, but it also, and this is a very important thing, keeps us relevant, keeps us young. Because as we age, we tend to depend on past experience. Everybody depends on past experience. And as we age, we have more and more of that, right? And this is the way things have always been done. You know, this is how this happens. This is how that, well, if you go over there, this is going to happen. I know because I saw it before. And you don't want to do that. But if you're young, you don't have that experience. And so you're willing to try that. You're willing to try everything new. So we want to stay relevant. We're going to have to do new things all the time and learn new things all the time. And that's why it's so important to have young people and new people and diverse people. They say, you know, scientists have done studies, and they say the most effective teams are the most diverse teams. And why is that? Because if you sit around with a bunch of people that think exactly like you do, you're not going to get any new ideas. Like in that garden party example, you know, there were 12 of us, and everybody had completely different ideas. If we had taken that same 5 people who were used to getting along, some ideas wouldn't have even been brought up because we know what the other person would say about it, and we wouldn't want to be rejected. But when we had a bigger group, we didn't know what was going to be rejected and what wasn't, so we just threw everything out. So the more diverse your team is, the more diverse in age, in race, in socioeconomic background, the more successful your team will be. So it helps us stay young and relevant. And how do we do this? How do we expand our imagination? Because, you know, how do I think something that I never thought before? Well, again, we bring people into our group. We visualize. Now, how many of you have ever done a visualization? Not to be confused with visioning, but a visualization. Great, a few of them. So let's take a moment for those of you who haven't. Close your eyes just for a second. Picture a plate of lemon wedges in front of you. Now you pick up one of those wedges, you smell it, and you take a bite. Feel the juices in your mouth. Okay, now open your eyes. How many of you can feel the sourness in the taste? Okay, that's visualizing. And that really works. I was telling somebody the other day, I did a visualization workshop once, and I was sitting there, and he had us pick whatever we wanted in my garage. I don't know about yours, my garage was a mess. And so I visualized my garage being totally organized and clean and easy to drive into. And I just totally pictured that, and the feelings that I would have when I went in there, drove home from the workshop, and as I drove up, my husband was cleaning our garage. It works. So we've talked about imagination. Now let's talk about inspiration. Whereas imagination is a mental thing, it's how hard can you stretch your mind, your pictures, your intellect. We can stretch and work our imagination. But we don't work inspiration. It works us. It comes from a different place. We can't make it happen. In fact, we have to sit still and allow it to happen. So inspiration, where imagination comes from our intellect, inspiration comes from a higher source. It comes from a place of principle. And I'm looking here at all the principles on the sign in the back: love and joy and peace and unity, plenty or abundance, and truth. All of those. And that's where our inspiration comes through. Inspiration is what we felt. How many felt something in your heart when Chris got the crown put on his head? Yeah. That's inspiration. You can feel it in your heart, not just your head. So those are some things about inspiration. And let's see, I wanted to share something here with you about it. An example of inspiration. When I prepare to do a Sunday talk, this is a personal example, I sit down and meditate. And I ask Spirit, what does everybody need to hear or want to hear? Because I learned a long time ago that nobody thinks the way I do. Nobody. So if I prepare to talk for me, it wouldn't be for you. And that just doesn't work. So I have to ask Spirit, what do the people here want to hear or need to hear? And that's how a talk gets prepared. That's inspiration, is letting go of your own thoughts, of your own direction, and letting Spirit tell you which way to go. Spirit got me here, actually. I don't know if I mentioned that last time. It was not my intention when I retired to become a minister. I tried all kinds of other things, and I just didn't want to do the work. Remember, I don't like to work. So I just didn't want to do the work. And when a friend of mine called me up and said she went into ministerial school, I thought, oh, darn. 15 years ago, when we were in practitioner class, we said we'd do this together. I thought she forgot. I did. So Spirit got that phone call to me, and Spirit got me here. So it wasn't my idea. It wasn't in my imagination. I kept saying to people, no, I'm not doing that. So that's how Spirit works. Now let's talk a little bit about what happens. Well, before we get that, so we did a visualization. Let's talk a little bit about visioning. So where imagination you visualize and you were able to see the limit, visioning, as I said with inspiration, you don't do the work. You sit back. Now I know that those of you who participated in your co-creation type of process did some visioning about what you want to see for your center. In visioning, you sit back and get still and ask Spirit what it has to say. And you don't judge. No matter, again, how silly that idea seems. Sometimes when you vision, you get colors. Sometimes you get images. Sometimes you get words. And sometimes you get nothing because it's not yet ready. And it'll pop up somewhere during the week. So visioning is allowing Spirit to direct you, to give you information or an image or an idea that you didn't have before. You cannot rely on past experience for inspiration. Inspiration is brand new. Now, Michael Beckwith of Agape, which is a Science and Mind Center in Los Angeles, gives us a format for visioning. But you don't need to follow a format to allow Spirit to speak to you. You just need to listen. That's the big thing. So, now that we've talked about imagination, and we've talked about inspiration, what happens, title went on, when imagination and inspiration collide? You get this geyser of joy and wonder, and amazing things happen beyond ourselves. When you take our personal imaginations and inspiration and allow them to collide, we go to a place higher than ourselves. Because now we have this wondrous world to imagine, and now we have this place of all possibilities and principles coming in. We get this geyser of joy. So an example that I have of this collision is one involving my sister Lou. So Lou is a tech entrepreneur. She's done technology most of her career. She's an economist also, so she kind of puts that together. And how can people in the world make money through technology? Well, when she retired from the last company that she was running, she still wanted to bring technology, but this time she wanted to bring it to underrepresented people. People that don't have access to money to get their ideas out there, or legal people in their lives to tell them how to deal with that, or any of those things. And Lou also loves to travel, because traveling expands her imagination. So she's traveling around all of these countries, mostly third world countries. You've got Stan and all the stands out there, and various places. And she's noticing that the culture is different, and it's difficult to bring technology to a different kind of culture. And then inspiration came in. And inspiration said, yeah, the best way to bring prosperity to a third world country is to bring it to families who don't have opportunity and who has the least amount of opportunity in a third world country. The women who stay at home because they're not allowed to go out. They stay at home. And many of those women come from very poor families. And the families are poor. So inspiration said, I know what we'll do. We'll bring technology to these poor women, but they can't go out of the house in their imagination. Well, we'll take it to them. So what they ended up doing was teaching women in third world countries how to code. They gave them computers to be in their home, and they coded from home. They didn't have to go out. They stayed with their children. They brought prosperity to their family. So that was good for everybody in the family. So the husbands were good with that because prosperity is good. And yesterday, I learned from Lou, did one more thing. Single women, women who have been widowed or lost their husbands for any reason, don't get to keep their children if they don't have jobs. So it gave them the opportunity to keep their families together also. That is what it looks like when imagination and inspiration collide. Things happen that are greater than the individual. Because can you see, by bringing prosperity to these poor families, how it will affect the entire culture? To bring equality and self-respect. And so why do we want to do this here? Why do we want to collide our imagination and inspiration right here, right now? Well, we all know where technology is going. And we all see that there is a gap between our emotional maturity and our spiritual development and our technical knowledge. We are able to do things that our consciousness knows we really shouldn't be able to do. And unfortunately, a lot of consciousness don't know that. So by colliding inspiration and imagination, we can up our consciousness. We can begin to close the gap between our knowledge and our emotional and spiritual maturity. And what will that do? It'll bring us all those things that we talked about, the peace and the abundance and the equality in the world. And that's a good thing. But the only way is to bring spirit and our mental imagination together. So, we have a quote from Arthur Ward. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you dream it, you can become it. So with that, I would ask you, where will you allow your imagination to go this week? Who will you include into your circle to help you expand that imagination? And what will inspire you? And as we know, inspiration is kind of sensitive. If you ignore it, it goes away. So what will inspire you, and will you recognize it? Will you accept it without judgment? And where will you let your imagination and your inspiration collide? So no matter what you do with any of this, remember to enjoy it and explore, because that's when the geyser really shoots up. Have a great week. Namaste.
That was wonderful. Let's give Marion, Reverend Marion, one more round of applause, please. This is our giving time. Take a moment to join me in appreciation for this community and our philosophy. We know we live in an abundant universe. There's always more than enough to share and to spare. We use this time to open up the flow of abundance and circulate that energy with gratitude. For now, we will not be passing the baskets, but there is a basket in the aisle at the rear of the sanctuary. There are several ways you can contribute to our center. We make it easy for you to give. Use the Give Plus app on your smartphone or your tablet, or you can visit our website to donate. Please join me in reading aloud our declaration of affirmative giving, located inside your program on the left side. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of this spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And now Chris will perform for us, God is my source.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. Joy is my source, joy is my power, joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source, peace is my power, peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, peace gives me everything I need. Back to God. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for for all my blessings. Lord gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
Thank you, Chris. And now let's take a moment to bless our gifts today as we recognize the overflowing abundance of life itself, knowing that these gifts go forth, touching lives, bringing healing and wholeness to our world. And now I would like to invite the practitioners up to the front. Our practitioner team is here to serve you. The prayer request box is in the garden room under the picture of Ernest Holmes. And our practitioners' phone numbers are listed on the back side of your program. Please reach out to one of our experienced practitioners for prayer, especially if you are going through a challenge in your life. They are here to know the truth for you and are available after the service for spiritual support. Now, please join me in reading together the affirmation of the day. You want to read?
I think that one Ecclesiasticals reads the affirmation.
Sorry. Let's let one of the Ecclesiasticals read it.
Our weekly affirmation, if you'll read it with me, it's on the reading sheet inside on the back under weekly affirmations. On the 15th, we say, if you'll join me, please. If you will join me, please. Today I celebrate and give thanks for the good in my life. Again, please. Today I celebrate and give thanks for the good in my life. And my mass too. Thank you.
One
They
more.
want 3 times. I'm sorry. Today I celebrate and give thanks for the good in my life. Are we good? All right. Stage mother.
There we go. So we do a benediction at this time. Pray ourselves into the week. So we give thanks for today. We give thanks for our imaginations. We give thanks for duck races because they are truly an example of the joy of imagination. We give thanks for those moments of inspiration. Thanks for this sanctuary that we sit in with air conditioning. And once again, thanks for our pianist, Chris, who blesses every week. And today for Frank, who added a special moment for this morning. We are so blessed. We are so blessed for all that we have and all that we are. We give thanks for that. And we enter our week knowing that we are blessed. And so it is.
And Chris will close our service today with God Makes Me Want to Sing.